Welcome to the Lindsay and Tony podcast, where we talk about spirituality, business, and life experiences.
In this podcast, we're bringing our private conversations to you.
We believe that it's through discussion, action, and reflection that true change occurs.
Welcome to episode 41, Signs You're an Empath. In this episode, you will learn all about all of the signs that reveal your empathic nature. I hope everybody enjoys the show.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're so excited that you're here. Today's episode is all about your signs that you are an empath.
Yes. So signs that you are an empath.
We did an episode about the life of an empath, but we thought if we can get really specific about the signs, because some people aren't even sure if you are an empath. So we'll talk about that today.
Absolutely. I spent most of my life not even realizing I'm an empath, and I didn't know what empath meant. I thought it meant like psychopath or something like that when I first heard of it. So when Lindsay was telling me, "Oh, you're an empath," like it was offensive to me. I remember feeling like that at first until I figured out what it actually meant. And I was like, wait, that is me.
Yeah, so if you're an empath, you're a person that's highly sensitive to the energy around you. So you could be sensitive when you walk into the mall. You could be sensitive when you go online. What other places can you be extra sensitive?
Really everywhere. Everywhere you can be extra sensitive. Or every empath is different. And I feel like some are more sensitive to animals than they are to humans. Some trees, some are sensitive to the moon. Some empaths are sensitive to all of it. I feel like we all have different areas. So wherever we go, I feel like you could pick up the energy.
Right.
And to say it simply, what an empath is somebody who has the ability to feel how somebody else is feeling emotionally. Like I could feel Lindsay's emotional state, or I could go into Walmart and I can feel the cashier's emotional state. That's what an empath is. And of course, once again, it's somebody who could feel the emotional state of an animal too, or the energy of a tree as well. So you feel energy. And
I feel like everyone has the capacity to feel anyways, but some people are more sensitive than others.
Absolutely. And it's my opinion that everybody is an empath. But then some people are more in tune with the energy that they're feeling from the animals, from the people, and from everything around them than others.
And I feel like a lot of empaths have addiction things come up too. I never had an addiction, I don't think, that I could think of. Maybe an addiction to Facebook, scrolling through Facebook.
Yeah, I would say so.
But it's more like, I think in college, I found myself, drinking, and I didn't know that I was shutting off my emotions from being at a party and having a bunch of stuff around me. So maybe that's why I did it. But I find that college, it's very common for everyone to drink. And I think a lot of people do that because of the social anxiety of having to have conversations in big groups, don't you think?
It is. I did that. I used to overdrink a lot because of that, especially in college and high school, more in college. But because it's overwhelming, especially for an empath, especially, like I said, everybody's an empath, but especially for people who they feel they're more in tune with that. You go into a bar or a club and you have all of that music. For one, loud music is very loud. Like it's a lot louder for empaths, I feel.
Yeah.
So you got that, and then you have all the energy of all the drunk people, and then you have the energy of the alcohol flowing throughout everything. It's a very, very overwhelming scene. And yes, I feel like a lot of people, they drink more when they're out because of that, to kind of suppress that emotion. Comparing that to everyday living, I feel like people will either talk a lot, or like you said, they'll go on Facebook, or they might smoke cigarettes, or they have some kind of ways that they cope to suppress all of that energy that they're feeling. Some healthy, some unhealthy. Obviously, what we want is to have all healthy ways that we use to cope as an empath. which is exercising. Like I feel like exercising is a healthy way to cope as an empath. Can you exercise too much? Yes. You could overtrain your muscles and all that. So I feel like you could go down the addiction line for that as well. So you got to know your body. But there are healthy ways to cope and there's unhealthy ways. But going back to more signs that you are an empath, what are some other signs?
I feel like some other signs would be you could be feeling totally fine and then you go to a friend's house and all of a sudden you feel really, really sad. And it's not anything that your friend said. It was the feeling of the energy that you felt in that home or with your friend. So there's sometimes, even when I was a little girl, I used to get really, really sick as a little girl. And thinking back and reflecting, I don't think I didn't know how to manage my energy. So I felt like a lot of the emotions that were tied to, there were emotions tied to my ability to heal quickly or to take on things. And I find a lot of mediums that I come into contact with too, they've had something significant in their life where they were constantly sick or their immune system was down as a child. Did you have earaches? Did we talk about this before? I used to have a lot of earaches.
No, I actually never, I was never really sick as a kid. My thing, what I would do is that I would keep going.
Yeah, you would leave.
I would go from the age of really third grade on. From what I remember, I was always going. Like I was riding my bike all around town. I was going from friend's house to my grandma's house to other.
Yeah.
And this trend continued. And I feel like part of that was me escaping energies. Because I'd be in a certain city for so long and then I'd feel like overwhelmed with all of this energy and then I'd run to the next city. So like in St. Louis, Missouri, I lived in St. Charles, I would go to Chesterfield and West County and all over the St. Louis area. And it was like I was running from this energy that I didn't know how to process.
Right. And I felt like I was running from the people, not the city. I felt like I wanted to leave my house, and I love being around my family, but I felt like it was an escape to go to my friend's house. And I felt so different when I was riding my bike and felt that feeling of freedom to leave and escape.
Absolutely, which is why I ride my bike every day, which is why I'm going to go on a bike ride once we get done recording this. It's my escape. See, I know this, and that's why I use the solutions to overcounter my empathic habits and what could cause a lot of frustration if I didn't understand. And I didn't for so many years. I didn't understand that I was an empath. So when I first met Lindsay, she was or when I first met you, you're right here, you told me that you're running from your emotions. Like you're running all around. It's like you can't just settle down. And I was like defensive about it. I remember at first with Lindsay. I was saying, no, this is just how I am. I just like going to different places, which part of that is true.
Yeah.
But the other part was true. What Lindsay was saying was I was really running from my emotions. And I was an empath in the moment. And you probably said that then. You've probably said that several times over the years, and it didn't really click until a couple of years ago. Maybe
you did have to figure it out yourself. But
I did, that I was an empath. I knew I was highly intuitive. I just didn't know a lot of my problems that I had was due to my empathic ability and not realizing.
And it wasn't even your issue, it was other people's issues
that's
that
the
you
thing.
felt sad for them.
That's the thing. So that could be a sign you're an empath, is that you soak in everybody's energy. You soak in everybody's energy, your family's energy. So you are the healer of your family. People feel better when they're around you. They feel like they could spill everything to you. I was sitting with one of my friends the other day talking, and he's an empath as well. And he was saying, Tony, why does everybody just blow up on me? He was like, I go to customer service and everybody just spills all of their pain to me. He's like, sometimes I'm okay with it because I can help them cope, but other times I'm like, what the hell? Just no, get away from me. And
That's true.
And I was telling him, well, a lot of people who are empaths and who hold that space of healing, because I feel like that's what empaths do. They hold space. And when you hold space for somebody, you're allowing them to heal, because those are for the people that they don't know how to hold their own space. So when they come into your space, it's more of a grounding space, and that's why they will tell you all of their problems, and that's why your family comes to you and spits everything to you.
That's true.
So this could be another sign you're an empath if everybody always comes to you with their issues, even if they
Yes.
don't know you.
True. That is a very common sign. Now, one of the things to watch for too when it comes to being an empath, sometimes it feels, actually all the time, it feels great to be needed. You know, you feel like, oh, I have a purpose, I'm helping someone. But then there comes a time where you become drained and resentful as the empath. So for me, it was years of giving everyone advice and being the mediator in my family. But really, the advice and the mediating didn't really, it served a temporary purpose, but they still had their own stuff going on. Not saying
Exactly.
I was perfect, but I felt like it, as a little kid, I was somehow giving advice. And for me, I felt drained when I finished the conversation with them, and them, they felt energized. So it's important to think about, am I being like this codependent type of person where I need to help everyone else as an empath, or can I receive too?
Yes, and it all goes back to that question me and Lindsay always ask about in the show. Are you feeling drained or are you feeling energized? If you're feeling drained, then there's things that you need to alter.
Yes.
And it could be that. And I feel like that's a huge problem that most empaths have. Like I would say probably every single
Yeah,
one.
they're so used to giving, and it feels good, but then they're depleted. And that's the balance that's off.
Exactly. It's going back to what my friend said. He's like, why? And they don't even understand. Like a lot of people, they don't even understand why people are spilling their heart to them and telling them all their issues. You know, they might be aware of it. They might think everybody does this. So everybody always talks about this. But no, it's specifically with empaths a lot. People like to spill their guts. So they're,
Which is good, which is fine, but it's like,
no, it's fine. But you have to it's going back to the episode we did on boundaries.
yes.
And if you haven't watched that episode, watch it. If you're an empath, it specifically will help you establish those boundaries to where you can do that because you want to help people.
Yeah, and
we're
if
not
you're
saying to
up
be
for
selfish
it, that's
here.
totally good. But
Yeah.
if you're not up for it, then you just cut off the conversation. You're not cold about it, but you're like, you know what? Try the best that you can. You don't have to sit there and give all of your energy to the situation. Sometimes it's just listening that can be
That's
just
it.
powerful.
You tune into your own instinct. If you're pulled to listen, listen. If you're pulled to speak, speak. But don't do anything because you think that's the right thing to do.
Don't feel like a bad person if you're not. Because empaths have such big hearts. Us as a human race, we do have big hearts, whether you realize it or not. I believe that everyone gets value out of giving to others. But I feel like the big thing is to have the energy be reciprocated. It has to be a flow. So if you find yourself being around people that you're helping and you are not growing from being around them, think about that. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with them, but think about who you're spending time with. Are you valuing yourself enough to spend time with people that you don't have to help too?
Right. It's kind of like in order for a plant to grow, it needs all of the right resources. And it's like if it's too much sun on certain plants, then it torches it.
Exactly.
If it's too much of different things. So you have to find out the right combination for you so you could have that flow of life to where you're actually helping people more.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason why you try to help people in the first place is because you want to impact the people. But in all reality, if you impact less, you'll impact more. I know this because like philosophical, because it is. But if you try to do more, you're actually not going to do much at all.
Exactly.
But if you take care of yourself, the few people that you do impact, it's going to be that much more impactful, and then it's going to keep going on and on and on.
And I feel like empaths, people that are aware their energy is completely giving to people and people are attracted to their energy, they need more time alone to recharge. I feel like empaths, that's another thing, a sign to tell if you're an empath. You need more alone time.
It is. If you do need a lot of alone time, you probably are. And that's connected to introverts. And that's why a lot of empaths will self-describe themselves as introverts because they need a lot of alone time. And the introvert extrovert conversation, that's for another episode because I feel like everybody's a little bit of intro and extrovert, just like empaths. So it's hard to like get like a specific definition there, but they do require more alone time.
Right. Now it's interesting because I'm thinking about a friend specifically in my mind, and this friend is very, very outgoing. And I feel as though sometimes he might not know he's an empath. So to create noise or to have conversation, to be the life of the party is so normal for him because he's constantly giving his energy in that way. He doesn't even know that he needs that alone time. So what can happen is as an empath, you can give. A lot of commotion could come around because it blocks the energy of people sucking from your energy if you're a little bit louder or you're a little bit more outgoing, do you know? And
Exactly.
he's not an introvert. So I feel like that can come up too as an empath. So it's like you can get a little bit of both, an introvert or an extrovert that doesn't even know that you're an empath too.
Absolutely. So just because you think you're an extrovert, it does not mean you're not an empath.
Exactly.
So you need alone time too. And maybe your extroverted belief that you are an extrovert, so that egotistic belief is causing you to be way more social than what you really even need, because it's fitting that belief, oh, I'm an extrovert, so I need to be this social. When in all reality, you might need to take a few steps back, have a little bit more alone time.
Yeah.
Because as empaths, you're soaking in all that energy whether you know it or not. So the people that go and they talk, and they're numbing what they're really feeling, well, if they don't have enough alone time, they're not able to process all of the emotions and to
Where it's
release
coming
what they
from.
need to release and to tune into their feelings or other people's feelings.
Exactly. And I think just being aware of what you're feeling before you go out into the world for the day is so important, so that you can tell, oh, that's actually, I'm not feeling sad. I was feeling fine when I woke up in the morning. I was happy. I went to someone's house or I went into a public place and all of a sudden my mood shifted. So don't think that it's necessarily your mood coming from you. Think about, okay, let me go 3 steps back and figure out, what did I do? How many steps back did I take to shift my mood? Sometimes I'll be online and everything's going good and something will shift my mood. I'm like, what just happened? I'm sitting in the same room. Nobody else is around me, but what just happened? And it's social media. So what I do for my own personal thing, being an empath, I will unfollow if there's certain posts, like they have posts about dogs or pictures that you do not want to see, you know, those photos, which you have to be aware, but I don't want to see that on my feed. Like,
No.
I don't want to be sad looking at those photos. I'm aware, but I will unfollow that post, or I'm very selective about what my eyes and what my ears are hearing. I don't watch the news, even though my parents are like, you need to watch the news, but I don't get any kind of high off of watching negative stories, or I just don't feel pulled to it.
And that's common with empaths too, is they're very sensitive to what's in front of them. So like we said, you're sensitive to energy. So like what Lindsay's doing is she's honoring that and not watching the news and not putting things in front of her face that's going to cause harm.
Yeah.
Some empaths out there might not realize how much harm that's actually doing to them, and they're addicted to it. So that may be you or maybe somebody you know. The whole point is to become aware of what you're allowing into your eyes and into your brain, especially as an empath, because it's impacting you drastically. It impacts everybody.
Yeah.
But people who are more in tune with this energy, it impacts them even more so. So you need to be very strict on that.
That's true. And with the news, it's only a small lens of what's happening in the world. They don't show as many stories about positive things that are happening rather than the negative things that are coming up.
Exactly.
It's interesting because I'm thinking of a situation that I just saw the other day. Not sure if it's real or not, but I watched it. It came up on my feed. And it was about a hurricane or a tropical storm or something. I don't know if I showed it to you. And it was this weatherman that was talking about the strong storm, and he was like getting blown over by the storm. And in the background, you could see people walking like it was no big deal, like they weren't being blown over. And when I saw it, I'm like, wow, like this could be happening all the time. We're being shown one scene that might not even be reality, and people are walking behind him totally fine, and that's the lens that we're seeing through. So You know, it's just something to be aware of. You never know what's reality unless you're experiencing it for yourself. So pay attention to what lens you're looking through.
Exactly. And another thing is to understand that all of that's always going on. Whether we watch it and
Right.
play part in it and do all that and fight with people on social media about it, the only thing that's going to change any of that is by taking action. Like people taking action into with what they believe in. If you want to help animals, start volunteering in in animal businesses or in what is it called, the Humane Society.
Right.
Start taking action that way rather than thinking that you have to watch the news and be inundated by all this information.
And I'm thinking about Mother Teresa too, and I don't want to ruin the quote. I don't know it exactly, but she was asked to support like an anti-war, march or whatever it was, if I'm getting this right. And she said she wouldn't support that, but she would support a peace rally.
Right.
So focus your attention on the right thing as an empath especially, and you'll get results.
That's it. And it's not acting like none of that negative stuff exists. We know that exists, but we know that our intention and where our focus goes, that's what we're going to create. So if we want to counter all that negative stuff, let's use our empathic nature. And by now, you'll know if you are an empath by some of the signs that we shared in this episode. And there's a lot more signs to this. But if you are, just know that focus your energies on what you want to create. Especially as an empath, having that ability to sense everything, the truth of everything, people's mentality, the animals, the trees, and use that information to act.
Exactly. And I think take this video and share with us some experiences that you've had as an empath, because we love to hear from you.
Yep.
So thank you so much for joining this episode, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.